Okay, we should now be recording. Hello everybody. Well, all being well, this is my first in-car recording with a spherical camera. You are perched on my dashboard, which is kind of an interesting place to be. But hopefully that will let you see me, but it will also let you, if you want to, turn around. If you're on a phone, you can probably just rotate the phone or drag the image around, maybe if you're in a browser. And you can see not only me, but you can look around the inside of the car, and you can see the world outside as well. Now, this is all very temporary. It's on a slightly unstable mount. I have no idea whether everything's going to fall apart partway through this short journey. We're in the centre of Cambridge at the moment. It's some bright sunshine here. So if I end up squinting at you, it's because I don't have any dark glasses. You can also see, perhaps, that my windscreen is not very clean. However, I'm interested in this idea of being able to get a feeling for more of the driving experience, to be able to look around you as you're going along, maybe to feel a little bit more like a passenger in the car, where your viewpoint is not directly determined by where I choose to point the camera. In particular, you can get a feel perhaps for why my conversation might pause from time to time by looking around and looking at the traffic that I'm seeing. Once we get out onto the open road, this will be a little bit easier. I have wondered about whether these 360 cameras, or spherical cameras as many people like to call them, and I think that's a better name, because a 360-degree camera kind of implies a circle, maybe a horizontal circle, whereas in fact, of course, here you can look up, you can look down, you can see my sunroof, and you can also see down on the floor. So a spherical camera is what I like to call it. Though 360 is sort of easier to say and certainly easier to market. Gosh, I really do need to clean that windscreen, don't I? Anyway, so one thing that occurred to me here was this would be an interesting dash cam in general. I mean, imagine that there was some incident here, I was involved in some accident, you would be able to see what had happened, whether I was concentrating at the time. You'd be able to see the, in front of me and behind me, see through the rear view window there, and you'd have a much better idea. Certainly, I'm going to let this guy in. I'm also going to fix my camera a little bit more firmly. Okay. Slightly complex roundabout here where no one's quite sure, so I'm going to take the initiative here. Okay, the camera's wobbling a bit as well, so I may need to pick a different way of mounting it. This is just a first test. It's interesting also to think about the height that the camera should be at, because probably in order to feel you're having a sort of one-to-one conversation with me, you'd like the camera at about my eye level, but my eye level is very close to the rear view mirror there, so you don't get to see quite as much, perhaps. I could put you over there, and I may try that in a minute, to give you the view of what a passenger would see, which is perhaps a more natural position. On the other hand, by sitting on the dashboard like that, you can probably get a better view outside. Now, one challenge I have in this car, in this cold weather and so on, is that the windows are starting to steam up a little bit. So I can turn the heating on or the air conditioning on, but the microphone's quite close to that. And so if I do that, then you'll probably get a lot of background noise. So I'm going to try opening these windows a little bit and see whether I'm still audible. I should really record the audio separately using a lavalier mic. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Let me reattach you. Yeah, clearly this mount is not very good on that surface. I've got a suction mount, you can possibly almost see it down there, and but it's stuck onto the sort of wood dashboard, varnished wood dashboard, but it really doesn't stick very well. Let's see if I can reposition you slightly. Okay. So the River Cam starts over on our right here. Cambridge, of course, is the bridge over the River Cam, and it used to be Cantor Bridge, and before that Granta. The river was known as Granta back in Roman times. The Romans had a castle up on the hill a little way along here, and lots of background noise now, but the windows have cleared. Let's put this up. We are at least in an electric car, so it's reasonably quiet when the windows are closed. Now, coming up on the right, you can turn around and have a look over here, and you should be able to see one of the classic views of Cambridge. If you're not familiar with Cambridge, then just here you can see King's College Chapel across the backs, and it's looking very lovely in the morning sunshine over there. You can take a look at it as we go by. I, of course, have to keep facing ahead. You've got a lot more freedom than I have. In fact, in some ways, it's like being a passenger in a car. You can almost imagine having an autonomous vehicle that you remotely drive around, and you get to view a 360-degree panorama, which frees you from the constraints of actually having to drive the thing. Of course, if it's autonomous, you wouldn't have to drive it anyway, but what I mean is you can imagine perhaps doing your own street view. So imagine that this is an autonomous vehicle that can be remotely controlled, and you can basically remotely connect into one of these spherical cameras, tell the car where to go, and experience it, see the view. So if there's an area, a remote part of the country that isn't mapped on Street View, you could imagine driving it around and having a look, or exploring particular areas of the road system that weren't otherwise covered. Right, well, I'm just about to turn left onto Madingley Road here. That will take us out past a couple of the newer Cambridge colleges, and onto and out towards the West Cambridge site, where the Department of Computer Science and Technology is, which is where I'm actually heading. Moving away from the sun now so I can pick this up. So if I were better at this might be quite an interesting way of reviewing cars. Again, there's an interesting question. If you want to see the inside of this vehicle, where would be the best location for you to be positioned? It's probably up there. I should probably attach you to the ceiling, but then you'd see rather too much of my left ear. So perhaps you could have two of these cameras, and you could switch to and fro between the different viewpoints. You can't here see very much of the dashboard, for example, or get a feeling for what it's like actually sitting in the driver's seat. Sorry, I'm going to have to come up with a better way of mounting this. Okay, just as an experiment now, I am going to turn on the aircon and see how much. The vents are down here, so it may well be that the noise does become significant. Actually, not too bad yet. It's probably just warming up. We have Churchill College over on the right, and their nice conference centre that's over there, one of the newer colleges in Cambridge. Also over that way, you can't see it from here, is the Department of Astronomy, the observatories. But we're going to turn left over here into the West Cambridge site. And I'm going to go very slowly so the camera doesn't fall over, I hope. There we go. And I'm early enough in the morning, at least by the standards of computer scientists, that I may even be able to find a parking place. Let's have a look. Go down here. Here's the Whittle Laboratory, where they do research on jet engines, Ahead of us is University Information Systems and essentially the sysadmins for Cambridge University. And just ahead of us here, this orangey building straight ahead, is the William Gates building, which used to be known as the Computer Lab and is now known as the Department of Computer Science and Technology. And you can get the full experience of trying to park here, which may be full already. Let's have a look. I think I can see a space over there. Small space, but I think we can make it. Beep. Yes, it's beeping at me wildly to tell me that I'm a bit close. So there you go. Thank you for taking part in my, for sitting through this and watching it. My first spherical video experiment in a car. I'm really interested in what this is going to look like, so we'll go and have a look at the footage in a moment. I think there are real opportunities here, and I should experiment with some different positions. It's a little hard in this car to find places to actually fix a camera, so possibly the best position would be over here. So then you get to see the side of my face, so I'm holding you by the mic, that probably sounded dreadful. Or I could maybe face you partly forward like that, so that you can turn and look forward. However, I don't at the moment have a convenient way of fixing a camera like that. I'll have to be a little inventive. The other thing with these cameras, of course, is that you don't want to have too much in the way of mounts around it, because the mounts are visible. You can see my little bit of tripod down here at the moment, and the more paraphernalia you have trying to hold the camera up, perhaps the more the more that would be distracting in the image. So there you go. Let's go and see if we successfully recorded. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't shake you around. Let's go and see if we successfully recorded this, and this may be the first of quite a few experiments. Thanks.